Before first period, I landed in something called the homeroom, a weirdly useless class that briefed its students before they went off to their real classes. Before I even had a chance to settle into my seat, we were all asked to rise up from our chairs. I'm not sure if I understood any of the instructions. I just followed what the other kids were doing. Everyone put their right hand on their chest and looked up to an American flag in the front of the classroom. Then everyone started to chant, "I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America." I was lost. I looked around at my peers, and I saw everyone all uniformly saying the same thing. I thought to myself, did I just join a cult or something? I had no idea what those words meant. I just pretended to move my lips so I didn't seem out of place. It was a nerve-wracking 2 minutes for me. I hadn't met any of my classmates yet, and I didn't want someone to notice the foreign kid wasn't doing something that everyone else was doing. All I wanted to do was fit in, but the Pledge of Allegiance made me feel more foreign than ever. Finally, everyone sat down, and I breathed a sigh of relief. Unknowingly, that was the moment I became an American. Next, the teacher did a roll call. Oh good, I thought, this is something I can handle. We did roll calls in Hong Kong too. How different can this be? The older white lady teacher started to call out the names. Marcus Johnson. Here.
Suzy Kimo.
Here.
Man SH Shing, Uvi An?
The rest of the class looked around for this unfamiliar newcomer. I raised my hand before she could butcher my name any further. Here. You can call me Jimmy. I nervously looked around the room and I saw everyone whispering to each other, discussing this new little Chinese boy. The teacher said, "Welcome, Jimmy." I certainly didn't feel very welcome. Physical education class was the first period after homeroom. PE had always been my favorite class in Hong Kong. Even though I looked like a tiny nerd, I'd always gravitated towards sports. I might never be able to dunk like Marquise, but I was confident that I could drain some three-pointers and score me some new friends. After all, how different could PE class be in America? Before hitting the field in PE class, we had to go to the locker room to change into our gym clothes. I'd never changed in front of other people before, so I waited until everyone else took off their pants before I did. I made myself as invisible as possible and tried to change faster than a new fish taking a prison shower. Then a kid next to me laughed out loud and said, "Are you wearing tidy witties?" Dude, that's fucking gay. Everyone looked over and started laughing at me. I couldn't have been more embarrassed by my tidy witties fresh out of Hong Kong. I hopped into my gym shorts as quickly as possible. Then, the same kid screamed out, "Pull down your shorts." I was so confused. I just put them on. I stared at him blankly and said, "What?" He blurted out again, much more insistent this time, "Pull down your shorts, man." I looked around and everyone was seemingly agreeing with his comment. I went into full panic mode. Am I about to get booty raped like they show in the American prison movies? Is this how they initiate new kids in Los Angeles public schools? I didn't know what to do, so I slowly pulled down my gym shorts. As they got past my knees, the kid said, "Yo, what the fuck are you doing? Don't pull it down all the way, just sag it." I looked at him, befuddled, with my shorts halfway down my legs. Then he pointed to his own shorts. "Sag your pants a little so you don't look like a nerd. Nobody pulls their pants all the way up." I had no idea what he was talking about. I just blindly followed his instructions to pull my shorts halfway down but to showcase a little bit of my tidy witties. I later learned that sagging was an American trend from the hip-hop community. Rappers would wear loose pants hanging halfway down their ass, so they could look like a cool gangster who just got out of prison. Every kid in America was doing it. Pulling your shorts all the way up was called the John Stockton, a super white NBA basketball player from the Utah Jazz in the 90s. Lame. So I waddled around the rest of the class with my waistband around my anus. I thought I looked like I had just crapped my pants, but apparently that was super cool. What did I know? I was a foreign kid who was trying to fit in any way I could. I was just relieved that wasn't the day I lost my virginity. Now that my shorts were halfway sagged and my dignity was still somewhat intact, I was ready for some sporting. Much to my dismay, we had to play American football that day. I'd never touched a football in my life, and I didn't even know what the Super Bowl was. I had tried to watch an American football game once. It had so many rules that it was impossible to understand. What is a first down? What the hell is a pass interference? It sounded like a made-up sport some brothers came up with when they were wasted. Like one guy said, "Bro, you can't push me when I'm catching the ball. That's like pass interference, bro." That's how most foreigners see American football. I was lost on the field. Marquise was throwing the ball, or as I later learned, playing the so-called quarterback. I stood wide open in the middle of the field because nobody bothered to cover the little foreign kid in tidy witties. But Marquise took a chance on my tiny geisha hands. He flung the ball in a hard spiral right at my chest with his cannon of an arm. With the quick reaction time I had developed from ping pong, I miraculously caught the ball by pinning it against my body. It was thrown so hard, the momentum took me to the ground. I lay flat on my back clutching the football, not sure what had just happened. Then Marquise stood over me and said, "Good catch. First down." And that was when I fell in love with American football. Now I am in 3 fantasy football leagues, and I watch 7 hours of the NFL every Sunday with a 6-pack of Bud Light like a red-blooded American, screaming, "First down." There were these 2 scoundrels in my PE class, David and Diego. Some might call them bullies. I just thought these dudes were douchebags who talked a lot of shit. Nothing I couldn't handle. Every day in PE class, David and Diego would fire off some trash talk to me, usually along the lines of my mama being fat. I was never bothered by the words, knowing that my mother was a skinny woman. One day, we were all waiting in line to hit some baseballs. David and Diego just wouldn't stop. They kept making stupid comments to me and then laughing amongst themselves at my expense. Then, Diego got really close to me and started whispering the trash talk into my ear. "Your mom is a fat ass," he whispered. The words didn't bother me, but his hot breath in my ear got on my nerves, and it triggered something primal inside of me. I did something I'd never done in my life. I kicked his ass. I'd never taken any martial arts classes, but there must have been something embedded in my Chinese DNA. Out of instinct, I turned around and roundhouse kicked Diego square in the gut. He gasped and folded over. Then I jumped up as high as I could, and I came down with a massive karate chop to the back of the neck. He collapsed onto his knees. My adrenaline was pumping, and I was ready to finish him. David quickly jumped in between us and screamed, "Stop! Stop!" I stood still in my kung fu stance and stared them down. I saw the fear in their eyes as David picked Diego up from the ground. David said to him, "Don't fuck with this kid. He's fucking Bruce Lee." From that day on, nobody said one more word about my mama ever again. The public school hustle. In second period science class, I sat across from Juan Minjiver. He was like the Mexican Bart Simpson, a notorious troublemaker. He wasn't the nicest kid per se, but he was fun to be around. He would always make fun of people and disrupt the class. The teachers thought he was a nightmare, but I've always seen him as a friend. In fact, one of my first friends in America. I became friends with Juan when we struck a business deal early in the school year when he sold me his lunch tickets. Juan had government-issued lunch tickets. They are basically food stamps for students from underprivileged households. Each ticket could be exchanged for a free lunch that normally cost $5, and Juan would sell his tickets for $3. He would go up and down the lunch line every day and ask, "Does anyone need a ticket?" I always thought you'd be a fool not to buy from these lunchtime pushers. You got the same exact lunch for a $2 discount. Even my mom would think that was a good deal. So I quickly raised my hand and said, "Yeah, I'll take one." Juan became my lunch ticket dealer for every lunch in John Burroughs. A few weeks went by, and I thought I should strike a long-term deal with Juan to lock in my savings. So I proposed to Juan, "I'll buy your whole week's tickets, and I'll pay you $10 for them on Monday. This way, you don't have to come out here and work every day. You can just have $10 every week and enjoy your lunchtime." Juan tried to make some calculations in his head, but he soon gave up. The American public school system has failed him. He said, "Okay, $10, but you have to give me your chocolate milk every day." Without hesitation, I said, "Deal." I didn't care much for my Altadena boxed milk anyway, and I could use the extra dollar I saved to buy whatever soda I wanted. That was the first open trade agreement between China and Mexico on American soil. I was owning these publicly educated kids in the lunchroom, and I was owning the public school curriculum in the classroom. Soon I became an honors student at John Burroughs. I didn't think I was particularly special. The American education system was just particularly easy compared to the high-pressure educational system in Hong Kong. In the States, Most kids are still learning the multiplication table in 7th grade. In Hong Kong, we've all learned algebra by 6th grade. Aside from English, every subject in the US was at least 2 years behind compared to Hong Kong. My family came to this country hoping for the best college education, but we didn't realize how pedestrian the public school system was leading up to it. I didn't mind that at all. I figured I could just cruise through school and score some easy A's. I was like a 20-year-old Dominican baseball player using a fake birth certificate to play in Little League. But my parents had other plans. They wanted me to be on the fast track. They wanted me to be in the so-called magnet program. So my dad went to have a chat with the principal. Dad took me to school, and he brought all my textbooks. He stormed into the principal's office and slammed the textbooks on the principal's desk. My son has learned this already. He is smart. You need to put him in the smartest classes. The principal was intimidated by this middle-aged Asian man with a comb-over. She responded, "Your son is on a good track. He is already in the advanced math class. That's too easy. When can he learn calculus? What about game theory?" My dad had this weird obsession with game theory, an advanced mathematical prediction model. To him, that was like the holy grail of high-end math. I did end up learning it in college, but I've forgotten all about it because, like most things they taught me in school, it was completely useless. The principal said, "The highest level math class we have is algebra. The best I can do is put him in the algebra class." Dad turned to me and asked, "Do you already know algebra?" I hesitated for a second. Then I replied, "No, not really."
Elite.
I had already learned algebra in Hong Kong, but I wanted to continue my scam through the American school system. I soon became an honor student, and my dad proudly rocked my son is an honor student in John Burroughs middle school bumper sticker on the back of his Pontiac Grand Am. I would say that's a win-win. Good grades were nice, but I wanted much more than that. I wanted to be accepted by my peers. I wanted girls. I wanted to experience the American teenage life. I had gone to an all-boys school from 1st to 7th grades in Hong Kong, so I'd had literally zero interactions with the opposite sex. Now I was thrown into a brand new country, with a different language, white girls who were 6 inches taller than me. Multiply all that by the awkwardness of puberty. Forget about it. I had no chance. I was more lost than a dog watching Game of Thrones. There was this really cute girl at John Burroughs named Aloud, or so I was told. She was a tall, skinny white girl who looked like Molly Sims, every Asian man's dream. She was the all-American beauty. I stared at her every day during lunch, wishing I had enough courage to just say hi to her. She would sit by the basketball courts with her friends, and I would stand 20 yards away at the lunch tables, secretly admiring her. It kind of sounds creepy now, but I was in 8th grade. It was super cute. One would egg me on. "Just go talk to her, man. It's not a big deal." It was the biggest deal in my mind. It was life and death. Just go. He pushed me in the back, and I stumbled 2 steps forward. I was so scared that I quickly cowered back to my safe distance. I firmly stood my feeble ground. One continued, "Okay, fine. I'll go talk to her and tell her Jimmy really likes you." I grabbed his arm so hard he could have dislocated his shoulder.
No.
I shouted. That was perhaps my only chance, and I was too scared to even have a friend talk to her for me. And for the rest of the school year, I stared at her from a distance as if I had a restraining order. And for the rest of my teenage years, I dreamed about having a girl like Ally. I kept my easy grade scam going and graduated John Burroughs with straight A's, and I got my lunch on a government discount through one. I survived my first year in America by constantly assimilating and adapting. It was exhausting, but my family was the one constant that kept me sane. Whenever I felt lost in school, I could always count on coming home for a home-cooked Shanghainese dinner. It was a blessing to have a buffer year at middle school before being judged by the unforgiving teenage peers in high school. It was a year of American cultural boot camp, a year for me to learn English, a year for me to assimilate. I went into high school with my pants sagged, reciting the Pledge of Allegiance and ready to catch some footballs. Murica,